On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 2018. We're going to be taking a look at Liam Payne, and he's going to be performing Bedroom Floor. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So we don't get a lot of requests for boy bands or members of boy bands who have then gone on to have a solo career, all that kind of stuff. But this is going to be an interesting one. It's a recent performance and a recent song, 2018. So we'll jump into it. I think it is going to be a good example, actually, of why people, I think, aren't really sure what to make of the modern day music industry with live performances and studio releases. So as always, there are links in the description below to the live performance and the song if you want to watch it or listen to the song the whole way through without me interrupting it and analysing. Those are the links to use. But the other thing to mention is that this is a recent release, so it means that there is pitch correction on it, and I will be pointing that out because this is an analysis. Because the live performance is the same as the studio release in terms of they're using a backing track, it means I can use the backing track from the live performance. It still goes with the studio, but we're focusing in on the vocals here. Let's jump into it, and we are going to be listening to the vocal from the studio version, which is on the left-hand side here.
Baby, heard you've been talking about me lately, telling all your friends how much you hate me. But who you calling up when you get lonely? When you get lonely, yeah.
So I'm just going to jump in here, and you can hear that, I mean, we've almost got a dance track type vibe with this, but you can hear that, yeah, the pitch correction is quite abrupt, it's quite severe, but it kind of suits the sound of the song. And I'll tell you what, we'll let it play the way through, but as we kind of have a little scroll through, you'll see this, you know, obviously pitch correction is being calibrated to A440 here, standard pitch or pitch standard, however you want to call the tuning system of A440, that's what pitch correction is being calibrated to. So every time that we're hitting these lines, it's just been moved manually to give it this sound. And I would say that this is just part of the sound. It's an artistic choice in order to get it to sound like this, to have this more kind of mechanical club mix type sound. But let me just let it play on.
When you get lonely, yeah, you be saying real nice things. When I'm touching you, you be getting real jealous. Especially
with these kinds of phrases where the same note is being held and repeated. As you can see here on this G sharp 3, we are really kind of stuck on the line, but that's how this mechanical sound is achieved.
When it wasn't you, oh, and every now my iPhone rings, I'll be telling you, I told you. You said it was over, but your clothes say different on my bedroom floor. You said it was over.
And then Liam goes into this head voice / falsetto. It almost sounds like a reinforced falsetto because he's doing it so easily, and it might be just something that he's great at doing, getting into his falsetto, but really holding back the air so that he's getting quite a clean sound. You know, and it sounds great. I mean, it's pitch corrected. This is why we're getting the notes kind of as accurately as we are on the left-hand side. What I want to do is now compare this with a live performance. And this is where people are getting confused. And I don't blame them, to be honest, because the studio release, I would expect Liam to be using auto-tune live because that's the kind of vibe, that's the sound of the release, and it sounds like it's intentionally made to be a little bit mechanical, and that's the sound that they were going for. So when he's now performing it live, and I'm going to get the live vocals up on screen, let's have a listen to this.
Baby, heard you've been talking about me lately, telling all your friends how much you hate me.
So now he's singing this, and this is fully live. And I mean, Liam obviously has a great voice. He wants to show that he can sing and that he's got a great voice and he can do it live. And I think a lot of singers take pride in being able to do it live. But this is where it gets a little bit fuzzy. So I think this could be part of the problem, that people hear a released track that sounds like the artistic use of pitch correction and it suits the style, the genre, the sound of the song really well. So when they then hear a live performance of it, they're expecting to have the same kind of effect on the vocal, which means correcting it or snapping it to a 440 standard tuning. So when you don't hear that live, you've now got this detachment of, and people don't know that, yes, it was pitch corrected on the original release and now it's not pitch corrected, and that's why it sounds different. So when people aren't really sure what they're listening to, that's, I think, the problem. And I think if Liam used auto-tune live, nobody would have minded, because then it would have sounded exactly like the original release. But I think it's something that singers like to do when they are great singers and they've got the ability to hit the notes. They want to show that they can do it live. But you're never, ever, ever going to do it live as well or as accurately as the studio version, because you can never get your vocal cords to be this accurate at hitting these lines. And when we're looking at it in detail, this kind of thing, we can see at the top here, this F4 is going to be bang on the line, because that's how it has been programmed to be in the studio. And here it's kind of halfway between the E4 and the F4. So we've got the F4, the C4 again. Look at this, and look at where the C4 ended up here. We're actually closer to the B3. So again, it's setting that bar at an impossible level unless you're going to use auto-tune live, which, you know, had he used auto-tune live, I would have said, well, it sounds like the studio release, and artistically that's just how it sounds. So there's nothing wrong with using it if you just want to artistically show and represent your song as closely as you can to that original recording. So yeah, as we kind of have a look through, you know, the A3 here, we're actually closer to this. It should have actually been the A sharp, which is what it's been calibrated to here. But you'll see all this kind of stuff, you know, the little bits here, just tiny bits of expression that have been snapped to a 440. And you can see the G3 is kind of up here. So again, I mean, we're almost a semitone off, but this is the point about doing complex runs. Trying to get them really accurate is really difficult. And yeah, you're never going to be able to sing more accurately than a computer, because the computer knows where standard tuning is. So it'll just keep on moving your voice to where those lines are. So this is why we get a bit of a disconnect from live to the studio release. But I have to say that I think at the beginning of this song, Liam hasn't got a very good mix, either in his ears or hearing the backing track. When the vocal comes in, the backing tracks has the vocal on for the chorus. So it means that the higher reinforced falsetto sound that Liam does, that's got the studio version on it. So his voice is in that mix. So the chorus sounds like the studio a lot more because it was the studio vocal. But to be fair, his voice is in the mix, and he is, I think, getting more accurate with time as he sings live. But yeah, this is the thing that happens with live performances. It sometimes takes time to get into a performance. There'll be some bits that are a little bit better than others pitch-wise. It's never going to be as consistent as a whole pitch-corrected vocal throughout a song. And that's why you can always tell what's pitch-corrected, what isn't, because pitch correction goes throughout the whole song. Whereas live, you will have peaks and troughs of accuracy, but also expression. So we'll listen to this on the right-hand side.
You began to roll just, but when it wasn't you.
And actually a good example here of going na 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 na, just holding a note. How accurately you can do it with pitch correction because it's been programmed, and then how the human voice actually does it. You can see all of the variation, the microtones that we get here. So again, yeah, you're going to get that disconnect from listening to the song to then hearing it live.
Whoa, and every now my iPhone rings. I'll be telling you, I told you, I told you, I told you.
So here, I mean, Liam is pretty much, well, it sounds like he's now starting to get his voice more on pitch because he might have in his ears his own vocal that he can either relate it to, or this is the point at which the backing track vocal comes in. So it's kind of giving him a guide, but also his voice is now within the backing track. So yeah, the chorus vocals are the studio vocals.
I told you, you said it was over.
And you can tell because now his voice is coming out of left, right, and center.
You said it was over, but your clothes ain't different on my bedroom floor. You said it was over, you said it was over, but your clothes ain't.
And the thing is, he is really accurate vocally in this chorus, but it's really difficult to attribute this kind of accuracy because the pitch corrected vocal is in there as well. So the pitch corrected vocal is hitting this on the line. We know that because it's what it's been calibrated to. So yeah, but to me, it sounds like he's now more into his stride. But maybe let's move it on to the verse, because I don't think the verse has any backing tracked vocals on it. So we can now hear his pitch. Now he's kind of getting up to speed.
Why you always act like you don't want me? Don't make me bring up your dirty laundry.
So now, I mean, this is a great example as well to show you what a live vocal is, that this happens. It sometimes takes a bit of time to get into your stride. And, you know, here with the C4, obviously it's never going to be, you know, entirely accurate. And actually on the studio, they allowed this to be slightly sharp, and he did exactly the same thing live. So this was, for a split second, a little bit of a natural vocal. And here again, the F4, now that he's into his stride, you've got the F4. So if anything, this is showing that Liam can do it live. He can hit the notes accurately. It's never going to be at the point of pitch correction, but you know, he's got the ability to be really close to these lines. And let me just move it forward.
Bring up your dirty laundry. We always on and off until you're on me.
I mean, this is the kind of thing, the na 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 na, that little run, because we've got so many notes going on, you know, getting that exactly on lines all the way down, you'll see this kind of thing where there's no discernible kind of line that we're hitting on the way down, because it's, yeah, a fast run down, and you're not necessarily going to notice where that pitch is unless you're looking at it in this kind of detail. But also, if it's been pitch corrected, then it's got no other option but to be where it's been moved to.
So you're on me, yeah. You can say real.
But yeah, I mean, this is great on the right hand side, because now this kind of thing here, the B3, he's spot on. It means that we've got the C#4. If we now have a look over here, this actually might be a little bit behind. The C#4, I think, is over here. So yeah, this is the same point. And you can see how, yeah, that's a little bit closer to the line. It hasn't been massively pitch corrected, but hasn't been allowed to go above the line. But this still sounds great. I mean, if we have a listen to it again.
Until you're on me, yeah.
So I mean, this whole phrase, the on me, yeah, that all sounds great. And, you know, it doesn't really need to be pitch corrected. And this is why, when you get the more mechanical sound of the studio release, why I thought, oh, it's got to be an artistic thing. So live, he'll get that same kind of mechanical sound through auto-tune. But he doesn't use that same mechanical sound. He's now singing it really accurately live, but you now lose the mechanical quality to it. So yeah, I mean, it's a good example to show that he's got a great voice. And over on this side, he has been pitch corrected, like here with the C#4. And this C#4 is more kind of between notes, but you wouldn't listen to this and say that this phrase sounded out of tune.
You're on me.
That on me, where that on me, the fact that that goes a little bit sharp, you know, it doesn't really matter. And here it's kind of, yeah, been more pitch corrected to be closer to the line. But it's a live vocal, and you can tell it's a live vocal, but therefore it now doesn't sound like the studio release. So having said all of that, where does it leave us at the end of this analysis video? Well, it means that everybody's voices are getting pitch corrected. It's an industry standard. So it doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you are, you will have pitch correction applied to your voice. And I know people will say, well, then how do we know who's actually a great singer and who has been pitch corrected? And that is going to always be the problem, that, yeah, if great singers are being tuned to A440, then they're now, you know, being tuned to the same thing that the not so good singers are being tuned to. So it's all at the same level. And I've mentioned this before in another video, that I think it's to the detriment of great singers, because they lose the expression in their voice, and that one thing that makes it magical and stand out against other vocalists who don't have that connection. So yeah, by losing those microtones, it means that it's all at the same level. So yeah, it is difficult, because then people say, well, how do we know who the great singers are if everybody's getting pitch corrected? Because they all now get tuned to this level. And I don't really have an answer to that, other than maybe occasionally hearing a live performance that isn't post pitch corrected. Then you can hear the actual person's voice, and then you can judge for yourself whether you think is a great voice or not. So it is great that Liam's actually done this live, and he's got that artistic view of it, that I want to sing live. I want to show people that I can sing my own song. I mean, for the verses, this is Liam singing without auto-tune and without, you know, post-processed pitch correction after the fact of the live performance, which is happening on radio shows now. I've seen various radio performances that have been live, and live meaning they were there, but the live vocal we don't get to hear, because the radio station record it, they then pitch correct it, and then release it on their YouTube channel as a live performance. But it was live, but now it's been edited and, yeah, pitch corrected. So this is why it's such a difficult thing to explain or even know what you're listening to. Anyway, thank you guys for requesting this video. As always, let me know what you guys think. Keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comments section. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!